Okay. Hey guys. Okay, so I'm going to go over some budgeting and like financial tips and tricks that have really been working for Sean and I this year. I posted a few things in the team page. I posted a budget template and an expenses template for what I use for my business. So when I started personal training, I set up an LLC. You don't have to for Beachbody, but what I did was I set up an LLC, and so my tax returns are itemized. Sean and I filed jointly, but we usually get a pretty sizable return back each year, so that helps us. And then what we really started doing this year is following the Total Money Makeover. So for those of you who haven't heard of that, it is a book by Dave Ramsey. He is a financial guru. He kind of has a story where he made a bunch of money and then he lost it all, and so then he had to build it back up again. So he's become a millionaire twice. And so he just really gives you, I just like how straightforward he is. He doesn't really beat around the bush, and he just tells you yes or no and what you should be doing, and he breaks it down into really easy baby steps. So the first baby step, I'm going to pull it up on my phone here. The first baby step is to get $1,000 in an emergency fund. So Sean and I kind of had the wrong mindset. We just put so much money in savings, and then we're getting into credit card debt, but we felt comfortable putting our head on the pillow at night because we had so much money in savings. But it didn't really matter how much money you have in savings if you have so much debt, because even if you can't pay off, or even if you have all that money in savings and you pay off the debt, you really don't have it because you're owing that money. So the first one is to have $1,000 in an emergency fund. So if you have more than that, great, you're already past baby step one. So let's say you have $10,000 in savings. So you leave $1,000 in savings and you take that $9,000 extra that you have and you put it towards your debt. So baby step two, which is what a lot of people are on or get stuck on. So you kind of have to have this big vision and know where you want to be with your financial goals. So the second one is pay off all your debt with a debt snowball. So that's where the budget template that I posted in the group in the Excel sheet is going to help you. So you list all of your debts from the smallest balance to the largest balance. He says don't pay attention to interest rate, only if they're very similar. So if you have like $2,000 on 2 credit cards, pay off the one with the higher interest rate first. But don't pay attention to interest rates. You want to start with the smallest debt first. So let's say you have $1,000 on a credit card and that's your smallest debt. You're going to pay off that debt first. And you are going to throw every extra penny you have each month at that first debt, and then you're going to go to the next one. So I should go back, sorry. If you have any credit cards, you shred them. You don't put them in a drawer and say you're not going to use them. Done that, didn't work. Trust me. And you have to take them off of all of the saved websites. Take them off of there. Delete them. Don't remember them. It's a slippery slope, so don't do that. My husband was one of those who had never had a credit card, still hasn't. All the credit cards were in my name. Now we have one credit card left that has been shredded since 2016. That was kind of our January 1st moment, and we're paying it off. So that's the second baby step. So you list them from smallest to largest, and then you start paying them off. And that's the one where you really have to stay focused. I was telling the girls before we started, December's been challenging because, well, so far, I mean, the past 30 days have been challenging because I'm wanting to buy Christmas gifts. I'm wanting to buy a bunch of new stuff for Lexi. I'm wanting to buy Lily's birthday is December 23rd. I'm wanting to buy her gifts. And it's just really paying attention to what you're spending. The next thing that really helped me was the Happiness Project. And that was chapter 1. You don't even have to read the whole book. Chapter 1. It's by Gretchen Rubin. And it really, so when we first started, I realized we had just a bunch of stuff. And a lot of stuff I could get rid of. Like Dave Ramsey talks a lot about getting rid of stuff that doesn't serve a purpose, or getting rid of stuff that you don't need. And so what Gretchen Rubin did in chapter 1 of the Happiness Project is she went through her house, and clutter was really something that she wanted to get rid of. She wanted to purge, and it made her feel better. And so every object she went through, the first thing she started with was her closet. And she looked at these items and said, do these serve a purpose in my life? Yes or no. If they do, keep them. If they don't, get rid of them. And so that's where I started. I started getting rid of a bunch of stuff. We have consignment stores here. We have places that you can donate items, but it's a tax write-off. So you get a receipt and it's a tax write-off. So we started doing that. We really started doing a lot of it this year. The big item that we did, and this was my thing, I like nice things, and I got sucked into keeping up with the Joneses. And it was more about appearance than it was really making me happy. And one of those things was my Tahoe. And I got one Tahoe, and then there was another one I saw online because I was dinking around online, and it had more bells and whistles. And Sean is the guy, like, he wouldn't buy toothpaste if he had to. Like, he is the most frugal guy I've ever met in my life. And I'm the one like, yeah, let's get it. Think about it later. And so that was a Tahoe, which is a kind of a big ticket item to just impulse buy. But anyway, so long story short, I convinced Sean to buy this new Tahoe that had more bells and whistles. And so and that was like my baby. I loved that thing. It had everything I wanted. It was the colors I wanted, everything. And so this year, thank you, Katie. So this year, we decided to sell it after reading this book. And Sean almost dropped dead of a heart attack because he's like, you want to sell the Tahoe? I'm like, yep, I think we can do it. Like, when we're done doing the baby steps, I'm going to get a better Tahoe. Like, now I don't even want a Tahoe. I want a Jeep. So when we're done doing the baby steps, I'm going to get a better one, and it's going to be debt free, and I'm not going to have this stress. So we sold the Tahoe. So that was my big, like, going all in moment. It was $360 a month. And so not having that stress was huge. But then we went to a one vehicle family, and I might get a little teary eyed because I think when you go all in with things, God provides to you and rewards you for doing what you said you were going to do and being positive. And so Sean's aunt and uncle, they are well off, and they had an extra Blazer. It's not a fancy car by any means, but they sold it to us for $1. And so we don't have any car payments on that. Like, it's 4-wheel drive because we live in Iowa. Our lane is a hill. Like, we got stuck in our lane I don't know how many times last year. But anyway, long story short, they gave us their vehicle for $1. And so now we have 2 vehicles, but one of them is debt free. Sean and I were just talking in the car last night on the way to the game that our other car, if we don't use our tax return to pay it off, which we're planning on, it will be car loan debt free a year from this month. So Lexi's first birthday, we won't have any more car payments ever, like, not going down that rabbit hole again. So I'm really, really excited for that. But it's all just following the baby steps and really just focusing and putting your mind to it. So the Happiness Project really helped get my mindset right. And then the Total Money Makeover was the steps on how to do it. So it's really easy to get off track. Can you guys still hear me? It says my internet connection is unstable. Okay, I'm going to go over my exact budget because I use an app. So where was I going? Oh, so it's hard to stay motivated. So what I do every morning when I'm making breakfast, I listen to my podcast. So if it's not the National Wake Up Call, it's the Dave Ramsey podcast. And they're kind of funny because people call in and they'll say some things, and I'll be like, nope, Dave's going to say no. So like I try and predict kind of what he's going to say, but it's really engaging, and you learn a lot. Like I've learned so much about investing. Granted, I'm not on that step yet, but I've learned so much about investing, which was basically like speaking Chinese to me. Like I had no clue what to do with investing or retirement or anything like that. Like somebody wanted to set up an IRA for me. Cool. Like I don't know what you're doing. I don't even know what IRA stands for. So, but yeah, so I learn something every day, but it helps me stay motivated. So listening to his podcast, it's free. It's just the Dave Ramsey Show. Listening to the podcast after the National Wake Up Call, like Mondays, I'll listen to the National Wake Up Call. Tuesday through Sunday, I'm listening to the podcast. So what he talks about on there is one of the budgeting is Every Dollar. So it's an app, and there's two different apps. There's the free one, and then there's the plus version. I did the free one because I'm on a budget. So the Every Dollar, I don't know if you can see it on my phone. I'll see if I can, but it's the green one up here. Like this is all my financing apps. So it's Every Dollar is the green one. Clicker is the one I use at the grocery store. And then the Debt Payoff Planner. But I haven't really used the Debt Payoff Planner that much. So Every Dollar is the one I use, and that was another big game changer for me. It takes a little bit to set it up because you're literally putting in every penny each month. But it's basically like my Excel sheet that I shared in the team page, but as an app on your phone. So every time I go to the grocery store, every time I get gas, anytime I spend anything, I put it in the Every Dollar app, and it lets me know how much I have left to, is it comparable to Mint? I don't know. I haven't tried Mint, so I'm not sure. It's just the one Dave Ramsey recommended, so that's what I did. But so I put every single penny I spend in there on the app, and then it'll tell me how much money I have left for the month. And so it's nice because Sean only gets paid once a month, so I can put his paycheck in there. And then because I get paid every week, once I add my weekly paycheck in, it'll kind of refigure the budget for me. So that's what I like about it, because we're on both ends of the, Sean's not good with finances, so we don't let him do that. But I don't know if more than one person can do that. Sean doesn't spend money. Like I'm the one, I balance the checkbook every day. Like Sean writes a check maybe once every 3 weeks. So he wouldn't know what to do. And I'm OCD, so that's why I do it. Right? Yeah. So it's nice because we're on both ends of the spectrum, that because he gets paid once a month as a teacher, and then I get paid every week with Beachbody, I can put both of them in there. So you can put your income, and then you can put your expenses in there. And so like Tiffany, you asked, with Christmas, I budgeted gifts for December. So you can add and take out items. I had like a plumber bill this month. Then I put that in there and budgeted. So you can add and delete items because each month is going to be different. But also you can copy from month to month. So you don't have to re-enter every single thing. So like when I'm doing January's budget, I'll just copy December's. And then if there's anything extra I need to add or anything I need to take off, I can do that in there. So I really, really like the Every Dollar app. You have to use it. It was on my phone probably for 3 months before I really, really started using it. And then now that I have, it's made such a huge difference. So that's the app. The Excel budget. Oh, the Clicker app. Okay, so this one's really easy for grocery shopping. It's basically, you know, like track coaches, they have the little clicker to count how many laps. It's basically that, but on your phone. And so if I'm adding stuff to my cart that's like $3.59, I'll just click 4 times. It's really easy. It's just plus and minus. But if I know I only have $50 budgeted for that day at the grocery store, whatever I'm adding to my cart, I'll just round up to the next dollar and do the clicker and then know, okay, this is my $50 for the grocery store, because that's where I tend to overspend. I'm just like, oh yeah, we could use that. Oh yeah, that looks good. So the clicker app is really handy to have just for grocery shopping. So those are the two main apps that I really use, is EveryDollar and the clicker one. And then, okay, so I want to go over the Excel budget and the expenses. So I'm going to pull up mine. If you guys are on your computer, pull up the budget template. Okay, so I can't see you guys. So if you have questions, let me know. Oh, I guess I can't. Okay, so what I do, cancel, sorry. Okay, so what I do on the budget app is basically the same thing as our budget app, the budget template that I posted in the team page. So what I do is I basically, it's very similar to EveryDollar, but I listed every single monthly expense and then how much I pay monthly, what the balance is. Oh, perfect, yeah. What the balance is and then what the interest rate is, because that's really, really important to know, especially student loans and things like that. My car interest rate was insane, but I never knew. Like, I was just like, oh yeah, I want this payment a month when I went to the car dealership, and they're like, okay, and then I did that. So I really got a raw deal with that. So monthly income, monthly household expenses, and then your personal expenses. So that's really the Excel sheet. And then the expenses template is what I use for my business. So I write down the date. So January 1st, let's just say I met with some coaches at a restaurant. So I put the restaurant down, a work meal, how much it was, and then any notes I want to put down on there. So then if you scroll all the way down, so I put it in two places. So the first, I have it separated by date up at the top. And then if you scroll all the way down, I have it separated by category. So it's kind of a checks and balances system. So if you go all the way down to where it says work meal, then I'll put the date, wherever restaurant we went, and then how much the total was. So that's how I kind of itemize everything for my taxes. And then I just give it to my accountant each year. So I kind of went through fast on that one. And then the income tab, I have just what my weekly income is for my weekly commission. And then I write down all my mileage for Beachbody or anything really to do coaching related, because typically you make more off of mileage than writing down what your gas is. So I write down my mileage each month for whatever I did for Beachbody or coaching related, whether it's going to the post office to drop off coach gifts or meeting with coaches or whatever. So those are kind of the three things that I have on the expenses template. So I guess if anyone has any questions, I'll open it up.
I had a question.
Yeah.
I guess, what are the benefits of you opening an LLC?
So mine was just to kind of keep it separate. I did it back in 2011 when I was doing personal training. So that's why I did an LLC, because it was more, it's the limited liability company, especially going into people's homes and training them. That's why I did the LLC. But now I don't think you really need it, especially with Beachbody giving you a separate tax return or income sheet. So I don't know if you necessarily need it, especially with Beachbody's, you know, their waivers and all that stuff. That's really the only reason why I had the LLC set up. And then I just keep it that way now because it's already there.
Yeah. So, and then I love the clicker app. I never really thought about that, because like I'll just put stuff in my grocery cart and then I'm like, I don't really know where I'm at. Like, I get the things on my list, but then I don't know where I'm really at. And so like today I went to the grocery store and I literally only took in $11 so I could only buy salmon, because if I knew that if I took in even if it's just my debit card, like I have money there, But I was just like, I'm only taking in this because this is the only thing I like absolutely need. And thankfully I did, because Haven was like, Mom, let's get grapes, let's get strawberries, let's go. And normally I would just get it. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, let's get it. And so I was glad I did that today. But that would be because you know where you are. And you're like, if you're only wanting to spend $100 at the grocery store, like, and you're adding it up.
Yeah. And it just adds up so fast, and you just I mindlessly throw stuff in my cart. I'm like, yeah, sure. Oh, I think we need more bananas. So the two things that have really helped me is carrying cash, because using my debit card, I swipe away. Like, I don't even think about it. So carrying cash has really helped. And then just being in the mindset, if it's on my list, that's all I'm getting. Or sometimes I'll even send Sean and be like, only get what's on the list. Like, if it's on the list, get it. If it's not on the list, we don't need it. So that's really helped me. And I didn't realize like how bad I was, especially at the grocery store, until I started doing that. And I was like, oh gosh, I would have thrown 5 other things in my cart, not thinking of it.
And I think it's the little stuff. I think it's like the $5, $2, $3, $5, $7, you know, like, just those little things. You're like, oh, but it's not that, you know. And then at the end, you're like, oh, dang, how in the world did I spend, you know, $100 out of my budget or $200 because it's just so easy.
Yeah,
and
it really is.
I think carrying cash. So do you always carry cash?
For the most part, yeah. Because then, and even if I go to the ATM, then I just put ATM on my every dollar, and then that's what it is. Okay, sorry, there's a couple questions in the chat. Okay. Clicker is the grocery app, yep. That's a good idea, KT, about the Visa gift card.
She told me that, you know, like some months they may not have enough money, you know, to do a $25 gift card, but she just goes ahead and gets a $10 or $15, you know, and then she said you would be so surprised by the end of the year how much money you have to spend on Christmas or to spend on a date weekend or something like that. And it's all, you've already paid for it. It's already, money is out of your account.
Right.
I'm throwing bananas. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So I did a budget again for my Christmas list, and we had, oh, well, here it is actually. So here's my budget, and I spent probably $75, and this is how many people I have. So I got a lot of people wine, and then I find a lot of stuff on clearance. It's so easy, and the coupons. Like, I like feeling like I got a deal, so it's kind of a game for me, but it's really not that hard, especially with like JCPenney. They have $10 off, $10 or more. I go in there and I get like Carter's sleep outfits for $1. So it's really, I don't know, it's really easy for me. And a lot of the stuff, like I got my nephews like Under Armour socks and Nike shorts and stuff like that, and I spent $75 total. So yeah, I make a budget, and it's just easy because I look for sales. Okay, so how much cash do I usually carry on me? It depends on the day. Like if I know I'm going grocery shopping, then I'll look at my budget for the month. Because I have to plan everything now with 2 kids. So it depends on really where we're going. Because in the Every Dollar app, I budget everything, like gifts, money I'm putting in savings, monthly expenses, obviously, but groceries, restaurants, clothing, gifts, travel, what I'm spending on Facebook ads for my business, Lily's dance each month. Like I budget everything. So this month, a couple of things that came up were our newborn photos and Lily's 3-year-old pictures and the plumber. So like those are things I added on for this month. and then I'll take them off for next month's budget. But it really just depends on what I'm doing that day. So yeah.
I kind of want to just add a little tip about taxes, because I used to do tax. One thing that really helps me is, I don't know about you guys, but the whole object for a lot of us is to not pay in tax. So we try to write off things that aren't real. I don't know if you covered this when I was not on the call, but it would be a good idea to use your same expense spreadsheet, and just, you can click it on the bottom and just hit make a copy, and you can have one for fake expenses. I hate to call it that, especially if this is recorded, but it's kind of expenses that like really you'd be doing anyway, like, you know, your HEB receipts and stuff like that, because when they do your taxes, or your CPA may require that you have those receipts, but the IRS is not requiring that unless you get audited. So the CPA is wanting that just to cover their ass, if you will, if you do get audited. So it's not the IRS ever wanting that receipt, it's your CPA. But if you, like I know Tiffany tries to look, she has a credit card for her business just to see if she's like making money or not. But if you had one tab for like true expenses, i.e. like prizes for your challengers, or, you know, just stuff that literally is, you know, that I guess prizes would be the only real expense. Facebook ads, like those types of things. And then if you had another tab, or even just a column that separated like, you know, real expenses and then write-offable expenses, because we can write off a lot more than is actually a business expense. You know, like for example, I don't look at the workout clothes I, you know, wear as a business expense, but technically it is, because, you know, that's helping me with my business, but I'd be buying that anyway, you know. Mm-hmm. And then another thing with grocery shopping. So I don't have kids, so I've never really worried about money or anything like that. Not money, but I've never really had to, you know, worry about it. But when you start to realize that it's, you know, that's our bread and butter, to make this affordable for people, because the more affordable our meal plans are and grocery lists are, the more we can kind of sell that to people. Because what's expensive is not going to the grocery store. What's expensive is going out to eat. And I don't know about you guys, but it kills me when I see challengers going to freaking Subway, and then the next week they're like, I can't afford Shakeology. I'm like, oh really? Because I just did the math on all of your out to eat expenses, and like, it's, you know, that's what Shakeology costs. So for me, it's not a game, you know, well, like, of course I want, you know, the grocery bill to be as cheap as possible, but it's easier for me to buy, you know, cut up butternut squash. But sometimes for my challenge group, I'll just buy the full thing, because I'm like, well, this is going to make my bill lower, and I can advertise, you know, proof of the product. Like, hey guys, this is how much Dustin and I spend on our grocery bill. And my grocery lists are $60 a week, you guys, for me and Dustin. And I'm not doing anything special. People are like, oh my gosh, you do so much work to make your meal plans cheap. And I'm like, no, I just write out exactly what you need. You know how much one cup of strawberries is, you know, like, you know how many cups you need. If you just buy that, it is low. But if you go with either just a list, like I used to go with a list, like that didn't correlate with my meal plan. Just like I would like look at it and like kind of make lists. But I've found by making an exact list, I can convince myself in the grocery store, I don't need any more than this. It's going to go bad if I buy it. So those are my 2 tips.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do that.
I'm going to go back to the grocery store, because one of the other things I do is we get the weekly ad on Wednesdays. And so I'm a creature of habit. So I would eat the same thing every day. So I go through the ads, and whatever's on sale, that's what I get that week. And then I make my meal plan around that. So I do get a variety of veggies, because different veggies go on sale each week. I get a variety of fruits because they go on sale each week. I mean, yeah, I have my few staples, but that's another way that I make my meal plan around what's on sale. I don't go the other way and make my meal plan around whatever I want. So that's another one that helps a lot. But I really like the idea about the taxes because I've just been putting everything in there. I don't make a separate tab. I literally keep all my receipts. By December, this thing doesn't even close anymore. I have to hold it together by rubber bands, but that's all my receipts. I keep receipts for everything. So, but yeah, I like having that separate tab. That's easy too.
And you can take your template right now. I don't know if y'all like Excel, but I used to work in finance and that's all we used. So it's so easy. You just like on it, just right click and just hit copy and you can rename it, write offable expenses and then actual expenses. And then at the end of the year, you should add them together and be like, these are all my expenses. Sorry.
Right.
But that way you're kind of able to see, okay, how much should I really give back to my challengers and how much should I kind of spend on myself that I would spend anyway. I hate to say, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this on a recordable. Yeah.
What is the other thing? Okay. How do you come up with your budget? So Sean gets paid because he's on a contract. Sean gets paid the same every single month. And then mine varies a little bit, but I come up with our budget based on our income. So based on our income, and then I get all of our expenses like electricity, mortgage, all that stuff paid first. And then I go to the fun stuff. So because it's pretty much similar every month, I know how much we can spend on travel or going to the movies or whatever. But with Dave Ramsey, he really stresses living like no one else now so you can live like no one else later. So he's basically saying cut out going out to eat, which is really good because it's helped with our meal plan. We eat a lot of meals at home. I do a lot of crock pot meals. We've gotten really good at packing coolers when we're going somewhere. Because we have to drive 2 hours to get to a Target. So usually it's like Starbucks and, oh, we need to eat lunch and, oh, we better eat dinner before we drive all the way home. We've gotten really good at packing coolers. So we're not spending so much out to eat. Then we know how much, like Lily's birthday, I know how much I can spend on that. With Christmas, I started buying in October and plus I was having a baby, so I wanted to be done before that. But so just budgeting different things each month. But I always start with what our income typically is. And then if I'm making more that month in Beachbody, perfect. If not, I'm still covered. So I do all the main stuff first, like mortgage, electricity, and then I go to the fun stuff last. And then throwing anything extra at debt is what Dave Ramsey really says is anything extra, whether you're like the consignment store, if I pick up $30 from there from stuff they sold for us, then we put that towards debt. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's true. Deep Pockets December. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I know I told Sean, I was like, they want me to speak about finances and budgeting. He's like, well, this month is off. And I'm like, I know this was a bad month, but it's really, January's really, I mean, it's easy in January with the new year and everyone's kind of got gifts and Christmas money and stuff like that. Our tax returns, we usually get like, I think last year we got 7,000 back. So we paid off a lot of things with that. So it's just really, we kind of bank on that. And then he works in the summer because he does camps and clinics and stuff like that. So he gets his teaching income and then we throw, oh, dang it, Tiffany. Yeah, I've never not gotten a return. So I don't know what it's like to pay in. That sounds awful. But yeah, we've always gotten a big return. And then when he does camps in the summer, we use all of that camp money and throw it towards debt. So we've paid off credit cards, we've paid off a couple student loans, things like that. So yeah, we have one credit card in the car left, and then it's student loans and our mortgage. So we're getting there. But getting rid of the car helps. We have our boat still. I told Sean, I'm like, the boat I'm hanging on to. We paid cash for that, and I told Sean, I'm like, the boat is going to be hard to get rid of. So, but yeah, just doing little things. Oh yes, we got rid of TV. We got rid of DirecTV. We were paying like $150 a month. So now we have Roku sticks, which you can stream VOD on. And his parents, I don't know if this is legal or not, but we use his parents' account to log in. To log in and watch like Grey's Anatomy and stuff. So yeah, we pay $10.99 a month for Netflix. We got rid of XM radio in our cars, like just a bunch of little stuff. It adds up. That was just basically nickel and diming us into debt. So we got rid of it. We pay cash for everything. All of our credit cards are shredded. That was a slippery slope. Just, $5 here, stuff like that. So yeah, who is that? Who's the cardboard cutout?
That is my husband, and I did that for his 30th birthday.
Oh.
It's creepy. It's scary. I walk around the house because I work from home by myself during the day, and I'll like see it and I'll be, God.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm like, okay. He brought it in here so I can look at him, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, that's nice. He probably thought you missed him.
Yeah, definitely. He just got home from work.
We have less than a minute.
Well, thank you so much for all the tips.
Sean watches ESPN. Sean watches ESPN Notre Dame. He logs in on his parents' TV account, and that's how. So you get NBC, NBC Sports, CBS, all that stuff. So he just logs in on his parents' account. But yeah, we got rid of DirecTV, and that's saved us a lot.
What does he log into?
So they have a TV account, like they have, I don't know,
DirecTV or something?
Something, yeah. And so we just use their email address and password and log in.
So smart. I don't know why TV companies started doing that. It's not smart.
Yeah, I know. So I get mad when other people are like, oh yeah, I just use my brother's bot account. And I'm like, no, don't do that. And I'm like, I use Sean's parents. Yeah.
My kid's screaming, so I'm going to go. But
okay.
I love you guys. Thanks for
Bye.
joining me.
Thank you so much, Natalie. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, love.
They have this thing, Sam, you're Sonia. They have this thing, and you can sometimes download like the ESPN app, and like if you just have like a smart TV, then and it has like, I don't know really how it works, but you basically like download like the ESPN app and then use somebody's login, email address, and